Zexu crossed the Douluo Continent and obtained a full-time Soul Master sequence panel at the age of 12. Are you a plant-based martial soul? Wait, I'll go switch to a fire attribute martial soul and fight you again. Are you a shadow attribute martial soul? Wait, I'll go get a light attribute martial soul and fight you again. No matter what kind of martial soul the opponent is, he can always find a martial soul to restrain the opponent. Keywords of the novel. Douluo's full-time Soul Master without pop-ups, Douluo's full-time Soul Master TXT Complete Collection Download, Douluo's full-time Soul Master Latest Chapter Reading. How many martial souls does he have in Chapter 1? You are listening at Novel Full.audio. How many martial souls does he have in Chapter 1? The new book, Turning a Douluo Back to Modern Times, has been released. Everyone go and give it a thumbs up. Soto City, the birthdays of major senior Soul Master colleges. The arrival of two mysterious new students caused the conference room of the Apocalypse Academy to explode. You can't say this nonsense. 3 life martial souls have never been seen since ancient times. How could anyone have 4 martial souls? The female dean spoke, then turned her gaze to the masked middle-aged man next to her, wanting to hear his opinion. The middle-aged man slowly said, "No, Dean Xia. Based on our observations of this kid in Soto City these past few days, there should be more than that. The day before yesterday at noon, this Zexu had a fight with James from our academy in front of the Rose Hotel in Soto City. At that time, the martial soul he was using should be the weapon martial soul. A diamond necklace." After pausing for a moment, he continued, "Then the night before yesterday, this Zexu had another battle with Dai Mubai, the eldest disciple of Shrek Academy, in the lobby of the Rose Hotel. The martial soul he used was a rare high-quality artifact. The Rose Crown. Yesterday, at the Soul Battle Arena in Soto City, Zexu and his female companion named Anjuan participated in a 2-on-2 soul battle. Zexu used the Red Lotus Unicorn as his martial soul, while Anjuan used the Red Lotus Eye as their martial soul. In addition, the two also used their martial soul fusion technique. As for today, when he came to our college to sign up, he showed the martial spirit of the food department. Mantu. Although I don't believe there will be 3 or 4 life martial souls in this world, the fact is right in front of me. Suddenly, an elderly man wearing glasses interrupted and immediately caught everyone's attention. I think he only has 1 martial soul, but his soul skills have the ability to simulate. After all, in a forest on the North Douluo Continent, there is a soul beast that is good at simulating others' abilities. If one of his soul skills comes from this soul beast, then this situation is normal. The masked middle-aged man disagrees with this. Mr. Fan, your guess does have some rationality. But I have ample reason to deny your guess. At this moment, the young teacher standing against the wall holding both arms at the entrance of the conference room spoke up, "Everyone, what are you arguing about here? Just call that child over and see if it's all over." You reminded me. Alright, that's it. You go to the testing hall and bring him over, the female dean said calmly, then closed her eyes as if thinking. All the arguments just now revolved around a young man named Zexu in the new student testing hall outside Tianchi College, freshman testing hall. In the testing hall of Nuoda, only Zexu and Anjuan remained. Due to their late arrival, the freshman test was ranked last. But strangely enough, they have already completed the freshman test, but the admissions manager has left them waiting here alone. Amidst boredom, Anjuan complained, "Oh, I feel like this Apocalypse Academy is not very reliable. We are all in the suburbs of Soto City, so why don't we go to Shrek Academy in the south? That way, we can also be classmates with Tang San and Xiao Wu. Are you doubting Teacher Xia?" Zexu chuckled and joked. "If you suspect Teacher Xia, you suspect me. Warden, let's break off our friendship." Anjuan also laughed and suddenly turned around with a thud, trapping Zexu between the wall and her body. "Oh. Breaking ties with me. Are you willing? Zexu said helplessly, if you're not willing to give up, you're not willing to give up. However, Chief and she, don't be like this all the time, it's harmful to the public. No one else is watching this time, what harm can it do to the atmosphere? Anjuan smiled and cracked her mouth, like a queen who had been suppressing herself in the palace for a long time and secretly sneaked into a tavern to relax. Zexu felt even more helpless. He really can't do anything about Anjuan's behavior, he can't even avoid it. If you're avoiding. Well, Vern's heart-exploding warning. Mind-stealing warning. King's teacher warning. But to be honest, his roommate is really beautiful. Zexu can always appreciate her peerless beauty from the front and up close every time she is hit by the wall. Her waist-length hair was as red as fire, scattered behind her back, and 2 strands of broken hair on the side complemented her small, egg-like face, which was incredibly radiant. Her eyes, which were the same color as her long hair, were large and shiny, perfectly matched with her neat willow eyebrows, unparalleled in the world. With a raised jade nose and rosy lips, they adorned the apple-like face in unison. Although Anjuan is only 12 years old, soul masters are generally close to adult size at this age. The distance was so close that Zexu could smell a faint milk aroma. The phrase, bright and charming, with a smile like a flower, is perfectly appropriate when used to describe Anjuan. Zexu's heart was beating rhythmically, as if it was about to burst out. Fortunately, Anjuan did not make any more aggressive moves, but instead turned around and let go of Zexu, then stood firm. Warden, let's get back to business. Do you really want to continue being classmates with Tang San and Xiao Wu like that? Zexu asked seriously. Can't we? A hint of confusion flashed in Zexu's eyes. Archbishopin, when I was at Notting College, you haven't started a full-time martial soul sequence for me yet, have you? Yes, what's going on? I don't know if you've noticed that Tang San and Xiao Wu get along well with us, but they always give us a sense of alienation. Anjuan doesn't understand now. A sense of alienation. How can we see it? So Zexu continued, let's take what happened a few days ago. I've talked to them so much about the benefits of the Apocalypse Academy, but they still went to Shrek Academy as if they hadn't heard of it at all. This shows that our status in their hearts is not as good as that so-called master. When Tang San advised us to go to Shrek College, didn't you also reject it? Teacher Xiaolan asked you to come to Tianqi College, while Tang San's teacher asked him to go to Shrek College. The nature is the same. Maybe Tang San is also complaining about you not going to Shrek College with him, complaining that his position in your mind is not as good as teacher Xiaolan. Zexu thought about it, but it was also true. Looking at Zexu's bewildered expression, Anduyan chuckled with a puff sound. You love to dig into every corner. After waiting for a long time, no one came. So Zexu closed his eyes and used his spiritual power to examine his full-time martial soul sequence panel. Name. Zexu Soul Power Level. Level 25 Great Soul Master. Current maximum number of martial souls that can be activated simultaneously. 1 currently enabled. Mantu, Yellow, current available alternative martial soul sequences. Diamond Necklace, Yellow, Rose Crown, Yellow, Red Lotus Unicorn, Yellow, Mysterious Dragon, Yellow, Octagonal Ice Grass, Yellow-Purple, Dark Gold Terror Claw Bear, Yellow-Purple, Guardian Deer Spirit, Yellow, Deathwing, Yellow-Purple, Sunwell, Not Yet Attached Soul Ring, Silver Hand, Yellow, King's Valley, Not Yet Attached Soul Ring, Phoenix God, Not Yet Attached Soul Ring, Dominant Sword, Not Yet Attached Soul Ring. Frostmourne, Not Yet Attached Soul Ring. Top. Level martial souls like Frostmourne, Phoenix God, Lord Sword, and Sunwell will never add soul rings in the early stages. This is his strong guarantee in the later stage. Among the martial souls that have already attached soul rings, to attract enough attention from the Apocalypse Academy, food-based martial souls are undoubtedly the most suitable. Since ancient times, food-based martial souls have struggled to generate soul power and cannot be cultivated. Any food-based soul master who can cultivate well is a delicacy. As long as it can attract the attention of the Apocalypse Academy and obtain more cultivation resources, his goal has been achieved. No big deal, expose another martial soul to the public in 2 years and claim to be a twin martial soul. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Believe whatever I say. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Believe whatever I say. Finally, a young teacher walked into the testing room with big strides. His sharp eagle eyes directly met Zexu. Are you the 25-level Mantis Spirit Master? Faced with this imposing teacher, Zexu remained neither humble nor arrogant. Not bad, it's me. What's wrong, teacher? Come with me. The principal wants to see you. Everything is under control. Zexu thought to himself. As expected, it is easier to pay attention to food-based martial souls when spoken out. Zexu wants to leave, and Anduyan naturally follows behind. Halfway through, the young teacher only turned around and realized that she was also following. Hey, what's wrong with you, girl? I didn't let you come. Anduyan had a displeased expression on her face, but considering that she had just arrived at this dilapidated college, it would be best not to confront the teacher for now. Zexu's reaction was not as simple as that. Genius, without pride, can we still have no pride? He immediately stopped and looked up in a straight voice, saying, this teacher. Let me ask you, why can't she come with me? She, like me, is 12 years old and 20.5 years old, the best new student known at the morning enrollment site. Does she not even have the qualification to meet the principal? Oh, you kid is sharp-tongued. You can even talk back to the teacher. I have a lot of adults, so I won't argue with you about these things. But the principal only asked me to take you there and didn't say he wanted to take anyone else. So, she can't go. Do you understand? Due to the loud noise here, many students on campus stopped to watch. It is obvious that several students are very familiar with this young teacher who is arguing with Zexu. Who is this new student? A newborn calf is not afraid of tigers, even Teacher Li dares to provoke it. Although Teacher Li is only 27 years old, he is already the 6th ring Soul Emperor. That's right, Teacher Li is so talented. He hates this kind of kid who talks back to him the most. Do you know that last time there was a person who didn't know the height of the earth and stumbled on Teacher Li for a few words, was fined 40 laps, and then lay in bed for 3 days. Due to practicing the idealist technique given by Anduyan, Zexu's spiritual strength far exceeds the normal level. He could hear clearly what his classmates around him were saying. But Zexu doesn't think he should admit it. I have to say, this teacher is too domineering and unreasonable, he's still a dead brain. Even if this teacher causes trouble to the dean, Zexu still has confidence. Humph, isn't he just a 27-year-old Soul Emperor? What kind of cow are you? You should know that in the second part of Douluo's original work, there are plenty of Soul Emperors under the age of 20 in Shrek Academy. Thinking of this, Zexu is even more afraid. If the Apocalypse Academy rejects him because of this, it's better to go to Shrek. Anyway, it's all in the same city, opposite. Shaoli. A coquettish shout interrupted the argument between Zexu and the young male teacher. Did you make the old habit again? The sound came from the female principal walking in the distance. Zexu cannot judge her cultivation, let alone her age. The female principal exudes a noble aura throughout her body. Her clothing may not be glamorous, but it is also extremely elegant. A dignified and delicate facial features, an incredibly symmetrical figure, soft and shiny brown long hair hanging down to the waist, and fair and tender skin like jade. I believe most young men in the world would just stand still when they see her, right? In the eyes of Zexu, although this beautiful principal cannot be compared to the grown-up Anduyan, she can definitely be considered a stunning beauty. Yes, if the perfect score for appearance is 100, and the grown-up Anjuan can score 95 points, then this principal can definitely score 90 points. The principal has spoken up, so the young teacher naturally wants to give face. He almost instantly put away his previous frenzy and waited for criticism to arrive. Xiao Li. If I remember correctly, 2 years ago you used the same method to blow the blue sky away, right? He is now the second most prestigious student in Shrek College, second only to Dai Mubai. Sometimes I really suspect that you are an undercover agent sent by Frank's cunning old man. Upon hearing this, the young teacher surnamed Li showed a fearful expression on his face. Undercover. The dean actually said he was an undercover agent. Dean Xia, I am wrongly accused. The next second, the dean became angry and said, all right. Is it embarrassing to throw it away? Let's not make an exception. New students Zexu and Anduyan, come with me. The dean personally stepped forward, which truly shocked the onlookers in the distance. What level of person is that dean? 33 years old, level 75, Soul Saint. Yes, all the students of the Apocalypse Academy, when they first meet the principal, are only attracted by her stunning appearance. But after staying in the college for a long time and knowing the dean's cultivation, they truly respected the dean from the bottom of their hearts. Teacher Li also has times when he eats flat. Yeah, what kind of person is this new student who can have the dean personally pick him up? Zexu only followed the dean to the conference hall and no longer paid attention to the matters behind him. Such a small incident cannot truly shake his trust in the Apocalypse Academy. Anjuan looked helpless. She didn't want to make things worse either. Who knew that Zexu and Teacher Li were both stubborn people, which led to their evolution like this? After entering the conference hall, Zexu and Anduyan politely bowed to the teachers present before standing at the end of the long table. Xinqing Zexu, said the female director calmly. Are you a twin martial soul? Upon hearing this, Zexu immediately became nervous. It's really troublesome now. His eyes immediately scanned the dimly lit conference room with vigilance, fearing any danger. Dear Dean, I'm a bit confused about your question. The female dean immediately interrupted his words. Don't hesitate. I don't understand. That's good. Let me ask you, did you have a fight with a Golden Lion Soul Master named James before? That James is the eldest disciple of our college. Zexu's mind suddenly buzzed with a sound. Dry. I was careless. Yes, indeed. That's it. At that time, the martial soul you used should have been called a diamond necklace, right? Show me both of your martial souls. The dean's voice was extremely plain, without any emotion. But other teachers are excitedly preparing to witness miracles at this moment. Zexu's forehead was sweating profusely, and he turned his head slightly to meet Anjuan's gaze. With 4 eyes facing each other, Zexu finally had an idea. He pretended to be relieved and said slowly, well, teachers, I won't hide it from you. I really only have Mantu, the spirit of martial arts. But my Mantu has a characteristic. After others eat it, they can only get the effect of soul power increase and attribute increase. But after I eat it, I will simulate some other spirit of martial arts to replace my original spirit of martial arts. What Ling Zexu didn't expect was that all the teachers listened very attentively, clearly believing it to be true. Especially a white-haired old teacher wearing glasses, it's as happy as picking up a treasure. Believe whatever I say. Anyway, I finally officially entered the Apocalypse Academy. You should know that if everything follows the original work, there should be no Apocalypse Academy. So, it seems that Zexu only has 2 options for admission. Shrek and Martial Soul Hall. It is obvious that the Douluo world he came to is different from the original work. Not only did it add many new forces, but it also added a whole continent. So, the Douluo Continent in the original work is called the Douluo Continent, and the newly added piece is called the Douluo Continent. The Tianqi Academy was moved from the continent of Douluo. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Zhuqing comes. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 3. Zhuqing comes anyway. Zexu was just passing the test. His words are mixed with truth and falsehood, but they are more confusing. Even so, the so-called simulated Mantu has attracted great attention from the school. Zexu doesn't need to guess, but he knows that the school will definitely do its best to cultivate him in the future. As for Anjuan on the side, she was also questioned. Of course, apart from the martial soul fusion technique, she was not asked anything else. This matter has finally been turned over. Just as he stepped out of the solitary courtyard where the conference hall was located, Zexu was stunned again. He saw a delicate figure walking out of the freshman testing room from a distance. Wrapped in a tight purple-black leather jacket, the devil's figure is very eye-catching. Of course, what sets it in stark contrast is the angelic face. Zexu roughly estimated that this woman's appearance should be able to score 80 points, which is considered a very high score. Of course, it is also possible that Zexu's vision is too high. After all, he is accompanied by a 95% Anjuan every day. How could he possibly take notice of other beauties? He stood still because he realized who it was. The ghost cat. Zhuqing. Zhuqing had a gloomy expression on her face, indicating that she was in a very bad mood, as if she had argued with someone before. She stood in the center of the square, holding two sets of hospital uniforms and feeling lost. Why did Zhuqing come to Tianqi Academy? Shouldn't she go to Shrek College in the south of the city? Oh no, it seems that the development of the plot is deviating from the direction of the original work. This is not good news for you, Zexu. Although timeline correction objectively exists, the butterfly effect is also objectively present. How much will Zhuqing change when he comes to Tianqi Academy? No one can say for sure. Zexu, who originally wanted to go back to the dormitory to rest, suddenly changed his mind. He turned around to face Anjuan. But Anjuan had no idea what was going on. Why did Zexu suddenly become serious? Chiefin, let's go off campus. Off campus? Where? As Zexu walked quickly towards the gate, he casually replied, any small forest, hurry up. Oh, Anjuan glanced at him without asking further. As long as Zexu becomes serious, there must be something big happening. This is the experience accumulated by Anjuan and him over the years. As soon as the small forest spoke, Zexu stopped and his eyes flickered, occasionally glancing towards the south of the city. Ans Chang, hurry up, switch between martial souls for me. Guarding the heart dear spirit. Anjuan finally breathed a sigh of relief. After working for a while, I just want to cut off a martial soul. I thought something big happened. Both of them simultaneously amplify their spiritual power, blending the sea of spirit. The next second, Zexu reads his full-time martial soul sequence panel and hands it over to Anjuan for processing. At this moment, Anjuan's eyes emitted a myriad of brilliant lights, introducing a full-time martial soul sequence. Zexu, the current martial spirit. Mantu, yellow. Switch. Shoshin Luling, yellow. So Zexu stretched out his left hand, released the image of Mantu and the spirit of martial arts, and squeezed it into a pure spirit of martial arts under the guidance of the colorful light. Immediately after, he pulled out another emerald green virtual body of the martial soul from the sea of spirit, condensed it into a concrete representation of the martial soul in his left hand. The guarding heart dear spirit. Alright, Chiefin. I need to use the ability of the guarding dear spirit to observe some things here. There are too many strong people in the academy, and I'm afraid of being discovered. If you have anything to do, you can go back first. Anjuan has come, how can there be any reason to go back? What can I do for someone unfamiliar with the place of life at the Apocalypse Academy? I have to accompany you. It's like letting you go. Since that's the case, Zexu can't refuse anything anymore and will immediately enter the state. In addition to the soul skills bestowed by the soul ring, the guardian deer spirit martial soul also comes with a pendant function. It is the ability to attach one's consciousness to a turquoise energy cluster, emit it, and then find a host to attach to it. That's right, Zexu is going to check on the situation at Shrek College. The guardian deer spirit energy flew out of the small forest and took off straight into the sky. Under the control of Zexu, it flew like a meteor across the long sky of Soto City. After passing through the city, he arrived at Shrek College in the south of the city. Zexu aimed the heart-guarding deer spirit energy ball at Tang San's shoulder and ejaculated, then spread it all over Tang San's body. So, without realizing it, Tang San was possessed by Zexu. At this moment, Tang San and Xiao Wu have just passed the soul power test at the entrance of Shrek Academy and are being led into the hospital by Dai Mubai. After you settle down in a while, I'll go find her. If I'm not mistaken, she should have gone to the Tianqi Academy in the north of the city, Dai Mubai frowned and said. Xiao Wu chuckled and said, you said a few words just now and made the girl run away. Do you want to chase after her and keep fighting? Zexu suddenly realized that it was like this. No wonder Zhuqing had a gloomy expression on his face at Tianqi Academy, all of which were angered by Dai Mubai. Being ridiculed by Xiaowu, Dai Mubai is not to mention how awkward it is. Anyway, I will find her back. To be honest with you, when we were kids, we exchanged letters every day, and I didn't even know what she looked like. I didn't expect this to happen when we first met. So, what Brother Dai said? She and you are childhood sweethearts. Tang San asked cautiously. It should be considered. Dai Mubai looked up at the sky helplessly, with a worried expression. Alright, that's the second level ahead. I believe you will pass it smoothly. Tang San and Xiao Wu stood at the end of the second level queue, respectfully lining up. However, Zexu, who was in a state of guarding the spirit of the deer, had some blurred vision. Suddenly, he seemed to see Dai Mubai's body disappear completely, replaced by an extremely delicate figure. This woman's appearance is somewhat similar to Dai Mubai's, but her height is lower. Zexu did not have a chance to specifically identify her identity. Because the next second, everything will return to normal. Is it an illusion? At this moment, a soft and cute yet sharp voice sounded in the distance. Selling bread, selling bread. Take a look, don't miss it if you pass by. Ophia brand bread, with a complete variety of delicious and sweet flavors. Children and the elderly are honest, good quality and affordable. All flavors are priced at the same price, only 5 copper soul coins. After eating Ophia brand bread, you are guaranteed to pass the entrance exam. Zexu instinctively looked towards the source of the sound, and not far away, a girl about 14 years old was pushing a cart and selling along the way. A sweet aroma wafted from the car, making one unable to help but be intoxicated. Many students have given up queuing and gone to buy bread. What a beautiful big sister. Is she also a student here? Zexu detached the spirit energy of the guarding deer from Tang San's body and attached it to a student who was buying bread. Watching up close, Zexu was amazed by the appearance of this bread girl. Light honey-colored wavy curly hair drapes down to the waist, paired with a silver-gray knitted one-shoulder camisole dress, and a pair of refreshing strap-style sandals on the feet. This is simply a perfect match. If Zexu were to give her a score for her appearance, a score of 90 would definitely not be excessive. That is to say, this bread girl is a stunning beauty on the same level as Xia Ku, the dean of the Apocalypse Academy. I want to seek everyone's opinions. Regarding whether Dai Mubai and Zhuqing were ultimately together or not, please comment on your preferences in this chapter. Your choices will greatly affect the plot direction of Dai Mubai and Zhuqing. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Are you the legendary Feng Aotian? Elsa. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Are you the legendary Feng Aotian? Elsa, however, the more Zexu looked at it, the more familiar it became. Wait, why is this bread girl so like Oscar? Opia, Oscar. Ophia, Oscar. Due to the excessive amount of information, Zexu directly withdrew from the state of Shoshin Luling. His consciousness returned to its original state in the small forest and burrowed back into his body. Zexu's eyes suddenly opened, as if he had been startled. Zexu, what did you see? How did you get so scared? Anjuan asked with concern for the first time. After taking a deep breath and calming down, Zexu slowly said, I'm fine, I just saw some strange things. It's really bothering me. But you don't have to worry, that's not a bad thing. So, the two of them set off back to the college. You have to say, there have been so many things this year. There was another argument at the entrance of the freshman testing room. I don't want to come to this dilapidated college in the mountain ditch yet. A cool and domineering female voice came in, giving people a very uncomfortable feeling. Zexu and Anduyan ran up to figure out what was going on. You wait for me. The principal will be over soon. The young teacher surnamed Lu, who is in charge of the freshman test, was so angry that his teeth itched, but he couldn't help but take advantage of the little girl who was speaking wildly. Who made her come from that place? Under the gaze of classmates from all over the square, the girl in gray still persisted. Okay, I see you're just a soul sect. Do you dare to fight me? The next second, the martial soul of the girl in gray will quickly become possessed. That is a giant wolf with gray fur and ice blue eyes. Yellow and purple, as soon as the 3 soul rings were revealed, they attracted the attention of the entire square. Elsa, 12 years old, martial soul running towards the wolf in the ice field, level 31 strong attack type battle soul master. Please advise. The gray-clad girl sternly declared to her doorstep, as if afraid that others would not know who she was. Although Teacher Lu is full of anger, he can still maintain restraint. I won't fight you. The dean will come over right away. If you have the ability, you can fight the dean. That's all for you, this ruined academy. Elsa didn't take back her martial soul, but instead looked fiercely around everyone, including Zexu and Anjuan. That look really resembled a strong female wolf charging into the flock, picking and devouring the sheep. Others lack confidence, can Zexu still not have it? The 12-year-old third ring soul lord sounds quite impressive. As for how much weight she weighs, we need to give it a try to know. So, Zexu met Elsa's gaze and met her head on, not giving in at all. What, are you going to fight me? Elsa said in a deep voice. Zexu didn't answer directly, but pretended to eat a so-called simulated mantu, and then asked Anduyan to switch spirits for him. So, a brilliant light flashed through Anjuan's eyes, and then fell silent. Zexu, current martial soul. Guardian deer spirit, yellow, switch to. Diamond necklace, yellow. The milky white diamond radiance covered Zexu's entire body, and 2 yellow centenary soul rings rose up with the flow. Zexu said loudly. Zexu, 12 years old, martial spirit imitates mantu, and level 25 food is the battle spirit master. Please give me some advice. It's just a second ring soul master, it's still food related, Elsa said stubbornly. Do you think you can challenge yourself beyond your level? Zexu suddenly found the girl in gray clothes very funny. I said, Feng Aotian, you looked down on Teacher Lu at the soul sect level just now. This shows that you have confidence in challenging Teacher Lu beyond your level. So why do you think that I can't challenge you beyond my level? Upon hearing this, Elsa, who looked down upon no one, gave Zexu a rough glance. Her only conclusion was that this Zexu was probably just a poor country bumpkin. My Mrs. Ice Plains running wolf martial soul is a high-quality strong attack type beast martial soul that is close to the ultimate ice attribute. Of course, it's not a problem to challenge beyond the level. As for you, I'm afraid. No need to say, let's go to war. Zexu didn't want to hear this arrogant lunatic talk here anymore. He just wants to make a quick decision and teach her a lesson. A milky white diamond shone brightly, and a semi-transparent shield resembling an eggshell appeared around Zexu. This is his diamond necklace, the first soul skill of his martial soul, the diamond shield. And Elsa's reaction was not slow either. The ice-blue phantom wolf claw attached to his hand and rushed toward Zexu with a burst step. This is just Elsa's ordinary attack, but it has already been very rapid. And Zexu's diamond shield, as a low-cost, low-cooldown defensive soul skill, is perfect for frequently resisting enemy attacks. Although each diamond shield can only withstand a small amount of damage for Zexu, its victory lies in its low soul power consumption and cooldown time. If Elsa didn't use soul skills and relied solely on the wolf claws possessed by the martial soul for regular attacks, the wolf claws could only break the diamond shield once every 2 times. That is to say, as long as Zexu is not foolish, he can quickly predict the opponent's next attack direction during the time of the opponent's backsway, dodge and advance, or activate the next diamond shield to absorb damage. In short, Zexu can basically ignore the opponent's normal attacks. After several rounds of competition, Elsa was surprised to find that she couldn't have the upper hand. She quickly retreated and distanced herself from Zexu first. She clenched her wolf claws tightly, clearly searching for Zexu's next flaw. However, under the shimmering luster of the diamond shield, it is even more difficult to find flaws. Even Elsa, the person involved, felt a bit puzzled, so it goes without saying that some low-level soul masters in the crowd were even more confused. Why is the vitality and soul power state of this auxiliary-type soul master still so full? Why can the cover be used so frequently? Don't you still use soul skills? Zexu asked with a smile. Elsa shouted angrily, I need you to remind me. A furious wolf howl arrived first, followed by a burst of blue light that briefly flickered and attached itself to Elsa's left and right arms. The first soul skill, Ice Wolf Crazy Claw. Watching 2 wolf claws with ice blue light wheels rushing towards him at high speed, Zexu knew he couldn't dodge this time and could only resist hard. He stood firm, with his arms blocking his chest. The diamond shield used in this posture will give up protection from other directions and specifically defend directly ahead. In this way, the defense of the diamond shield has been fully doubled. Although the opponent's first soul skill is much more ferocious than a regular attack, it is not impossible to defend with a diamond shield, just like the principle of a regular attack. As an auxiliary soul master with spiritual attributes, Zexu has been pursuing the optimal control of soul skill effects under the guidance of teacher Xia Lan since childhood. With precise calculations, he even achieved the maximum damage absorption value of the diamond shield, perfectly offsetting the full power of the 2 strikes of the golden lion claw. So Elsa had to step back again and temporarily distance herself from Zexu. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Clothing. I take it. Zexu. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Clothing. I clothing. Zexu, are you an auxiliary soul master who focuses on defensive abilities? But with so many use of soul skills to defend against my attacks, I believe your soul power has also been depleted. Although your body is unscathed, I am also unharmed. Don't you have any attack methods? Elsa quickly lowered her voice, with a hint of fanaticism in her eyes. Zexu is too lazy to bother correcting the other party's misconceptions. He wouldn't do such a foolish thing as reporting his own family background. Who is not a human being who can obtain a graduation certificate from a prestigious university on Earth? So, simply standing sideways, Zexu whispered, then let me show you my attack techniques. In fact, the damage absorbed by Zexu using a diamond shield was converted into diamond energy stored in the core of the martial soul. Because Zexu's second soul skill not only requires soul power consumption, but also requires diamond energy to activate. Second soul skill. Diamond Flash. Soul power determines whether a diamond flash can be released, while diamond energy determines how much damage a diamond flash can cause. Zexu couldn't help but worry about the other party. His opponent was destined to be very embarrassed today. Actually, no wonder Zexu, after all, his attack method is generally difficult to defeat soul masters at the same level. But Elsa is different. Firstly, Elsa is extremely unfamiliar with his abilities. And Elsa's Ice-Field Wolf Warrior Soul is a large fearsome wolf. Its attacks and soul skills have a long backsway time, and it is still a powerful and bulky type. Once the dazzling Diamond Flash was unleashed, Elsa, who was fully organizing her defense, had no time to hide. The soul skill that Elsa activated is her second soul skill, Ice Wolf Resilience. As a defensive soul skill, Ice Wolf Resilience has a very short duration, far inferior to the White Tiger Protection Barrier worn by Mu Bai. However, it can directly increase physical defense by 3 times and energy form defense by 1 time. Undoubtedly, Diamond Flash is not a physical attack, nor even an energy attack, but a tangible spiritual attack. People with less spiritual power than Zexu are better off avoiding this soul skill. After all, avoiding this soul skill is too easy. Of course, you can also control Zexu right from the start, so that Zexu has no chance to use this soul skill at all. Only Elsa foolishly kept attacking Zexu's diamond shield, sending energy to Zexu. The 10 or so rounds of confrontation resulted in an extremely large amount of diamond energy stored in Zexu's martial soul. How destructive would it be to release it through a diamond flash? Perhaps only Elsa, who has personally experienced it, will know. Who says that the auxiliary series cannot defeat the strong attack series? There is a saying circulating on a certain blue planet. Assistance that cannot be carried is not good assistance. White, all Elsa's gaze could see was this one color. In a daze, for some reason, she had already faded from her combat state. At this moment, the outcome has been decided. The onlookers remained silent. After 5 seconds of vacuum, there was thunderous cheers. I'm satisfied, I'm satisfied. After finishing her sentence, Asha, who was embarrassed and angry, almost fainted in an instant. And now, the dean walked with a serious expression. She held a secret letter with the seal of the Ice Wolf and murmured, "This is not acceptable. It seems that Duke Ed's youngest daughter really needs training." The 2 young teachers behind her didn't wait for orders to come forward and take away the unconscious Elsa. Of course, the dean looked at Zexu from a distance with a special gaze and stared for 3 seconds. Later, she said softly, "You did a good job. Let's all scatter." Teacher Lu turned around and left first, while Zexu and Anduyan also glanced at each other and walked side by side towards the dormitory area. They looked relaxed, as if nothing had happened just now. There were a few girls who looked at Zexu with distinctly different eyes. That kind of worship is deeply ingrained and undisguised. Our Zexu truly deserves such treatment. To have good looks, to have strength, to have courage. How could such an excellent teenager not attract the attention of young girls? Zexu never paid attention to these things at all. His emotional life is only left for Anduyan. Not for anything else, just to give charcoal in the snow 6 years ago. As for Anduyan's beauty, it's just icing on the cake. Besides, even now, he still needs Anduyan's colorful and ultimate light in order to switch martial souls. As he walked, Zexu suddenly thought of something and said, "And Shi-chang, when you return to the girls' dormitory later, you need to establish a good relationship with Zhuqing. She is very impressive. Is that the unhappy black-clad girl you told me about? What is her level?" Zexu replied confidently, 11 years old, level 27, martial soul ghost spirit cat, sensitive attack type battle soul master, 2 yellow soul rings. Anduyan's eyes were filled with admiration. Not bad, she can be considered a genius among ordinary peers. But how do you understand so clearly? I've asked someone before, Zexu reluctantly replied. Actually, he didn't ask at all. He just spoke it out based on his own memory of the original work. Unexpectedly, Anjuan would delve into this issue. Time flies, and in the blink of an eye it's evening. Zexu wants to see what Tang San is doing. At this time, Tang San is probably making hidden weapons. But today is Tang San's first day at Shrek College, and it's hard to say what he's doing. So, the spirit energy of the guarding deer was activated, and a green light quickly shot out, passing through Soto City from north to south and arriving at the second male dormitory of Shrek College in the southern suburbs of the city. Oscar does not exist, or in other words, Ophelia is the female version of Oscar. So, currently only Dai Mubai, Blue Sky Painting, Ma Hongjun, and Tang San have moved into the dormitory at Shrek College. And since it can be used as a male dormitory, there is only one well-conditioned 3-person room and one poorly conditioned 2-person room. The 3 realms have been occupied by Dai Mubai, Blue Sky Painting, and Ma Hongjun. The only thing left for Tang San as a new student is the long-abandoned 2-person world. It took Tang San almost 2 whole hours to clean up the room. When the guardian deer spirit energy came to possess, it happened that Tang San's sweeping work was nearing its end. Zexu couldn't help but secretly envy himself. Alas, Tang San can live alone in a second world, it's really too happy. As a result, the next second someone pushed open the door. The newcomer immediately faced Tang San and Simu. Both of them were stunned for a moment. The boy carrying his luggage into the house was clearly at the end of the crane. It was not until the evening that he came to Shrek College to register and pass the exam, allowing him to stay. The young man has an exceptionally beautiful appearance, fair skin, and a pair of big eyes that are particularly special. His crimson golden eyes were bright and lively, and his sharp short hair was also of the same color. And overall, his handsome appearance is no less than that of Zexu, even more handsome than many girls Tang San has seen before. Tang San didn't recover his senses, but Zexu guessed what was going on with the young man entering the room. I understand everything I know. Zexu was simply overjoyed. Routine, here comes the routine. Ha ha ha, Tang San, you also have today. Before crossing over, Zexu was very strange when he first read Douluo's original work. Why did Tang San, who was actually so old, fall in love with Xiao Wu? At that time, he was at a loss for understanding. Later on, I went to college and discussed this topic with my teacher during an elective course in love psychology, only then did I understand. The teacher's explanation is that in Tang San's previous life, the space was closed and he focused solely on studying hidden weapons, but love never sprouted. In Douluo Continent, when facing Xiaowu, he initially looked at her completely like a younger sister. However, Tang San has low emotional intelligence and almost no feelings towards other women. When his body in this life develops back into youth and his hormone levels rise, there is only one woman by his side, Xiao Wu. Who does he love if he doesn't love her? But the current plot development has deviated from the original work. The arrival of the Song and Jin dynasties will bring great variables. Zexu actually hoped that Song Jin could snatch Tang San from Xiaowu. After all, it's not a big deal to watch the excitement. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. My name is Song Jin and I am your roommate, Tang San. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. My name is Song Jin and I am your roommate, Tang San. Zexu continued to watch with great interest, preparing to see what kind of friction Tang San and the young man at the end of the crane would have. At this moment, Tang San was standing by the door holding a sanitary tool and instinctively asked, "Are you?" The young man who entered the room was full of pride, but just gave him a glare and casually said, "Get out of the way." Tang San, who was naturally easygoing, decided not to worry about these things for now. After all, this person is likely to be his roommate in the future. Oh, Tang San calmly placed the sanitary tools by the door and stepped aside. The young man walked past him and stopped after only a few steps. He looked around for 2 weeks and then turned to Tang San. Are you Tang San, as the dean said? My name is Song Jin and I am your roommate. Considering that you have cleaned the room so clean, I will allow you to temporarily live with me. However, I have a few rules. First, you are not allowed to take anyone back to the dormitory casually. Second, you are not allowed to be naked in the dormitory, and even the upper body is not allowed. Third, you are not allowed to snore at night. Fourth, do not disturb me if you have nothing to do. Fifth, you will be responsible for cleaning the dormitory in the future, but do not touch my bed. Do you understand? Looking at the young man's towering appearance, Tang San couldn't hold back even if he had a good temper. His face darkened, ready to argue with this unruly young man. This classmate, I understand that you have a cleanliness obsession. But isn't your rules a bit excessive? Why should I listen to you? Song Jin snorted coldly and said, if you don't listen to me, I'll kick you out. Don't believe me, give it a try. Looking at this familiar scene, Zexu couldn't help but feel very happy. This routine is not just about Tang San stared at the other person tightly and responded in a cold tone, okay. I happen to have a rule here that whoever has the biggest fist is the boss of the dormitory. Give it a try, let's go out and fight. A few minutes later, the two of them arrived in a small forest outside Shrek College, started fighting and were ready to fight. Song Jin remained sharp-tongued and said, your name is Tang San, isn't it? That name is really silly. And you don't seem like a shrewd person like that. I hope you don't feel scared and dizzy when I activate the martial soul later. Tang San remained silent all the way, completely suppressed in his heart. The other party repeatedly challenged his endurance limit. Are you fighting on the surface of your mouth? I warn you, don't provoke me. A person who looks honest may take your life in an instant. Song Jin still let out a cold snort and immediately activated his martial soul. I saw a bright red large-leaved grass growing rapidly in the palm of his right hand, with a brilliant golden vein. Subsequently, the yellow, purple, and purple soul rings rose in sequence. Song Jin, 11.5 years old, with a martial soul of Zhu Jinchao and a level 31 strong attack style battle soul master. How are you? Are you afraid? Worry? Zexu immediately exclaimed in amazement. If it weren't for the inability of the guarding deer spirit to transmit, then this exclamation would have been heard by Tang San and Song Jin. Tang San was also shocked, but he was not intimidated. Just in his heart, he suddenly developed a strong interest in this arrogant young man. No wonder he is so reckless. He really has the qualifications to be reckless. Also, Zhu Jinchao, what is the relationship between this and blue-silver grass? Zhu versus blue, gold versus silver. Is that right? Don't think too much, he immediately activated his martial soul. In the palm of Tang San's right hand, a large blue leaf grass quickly grew, with a mysterious silver vein. Subsequently, 2 yellow soul rings were arranged in sequence. Tang San, 12 years old, has a martial soul of blue-silver grass and a master of the 29 Extreme Control Series Battle Soul. Come, let me learn and appreciate your Zhu Jinchao. Speaking of which, Tang San suddenly felt a little excited. And Zexu is also prepared to watch such a wonderful scene. But the result clearly doesn't need to be guessed, naturally Tang San won. Firstly, the control system is designed to counter the strong attack system. Secondly, Tang San's techniques such as Ghost Shadow and Mist Steps, Purple Extreme Magic Eyes, Xian Jade Hands, and controlling cranes and capturing dragons are all too abnormal. So, after 5 minutes of battle, Tang San used his first soul technique to wrap around and completely subdue the opponent. He walked forward and simultaneously manipulated his soul power to untie the binding. Even so, Song Jin still couldn't stand up. What are you looking at? Give me a hand. Song Jin shouted angrily. Tang San just shook his head and sighed. 2 seconds later, he reluctantly bent down and reached out his right hand, handing it to Song Jin. At the moment when his hands were clasped, Tang San felt as if he had been electrocuted. This Song Jin hand is so white, so tender, flexible, and full of elasticity, giving it a unique and comfortable feeling to the touch. Even Xiaowu's hand is far inferior to this one, right? And such close contact also made Tang San inadvertently smell a faint fragrance. This unique fragrance is very heart-wrenching. Is it indeed a cleanliness fetish? Tang San thought to himself. Due to Zexu's possession around Tang San's thoughts can be detected through the soul skill function of the heart-guarding deer spirit. Zexu couldn't help but burst out laughing. Tang San, it's not wrong to say you're a technical otaku. Are you too wooden, right? Do you agree? Tang San stared straight at Song Jin's big red and golden eyes, waiting for his response. At this moment, Song and Jin's thoughts were very complex. He was stunned for 5 seconds before getting up and shaking Tang San's hand away. You big-headed ghost. Have you touched enough? Let go of me now. Seeing this, Zexu laughed even more and couldn't close his mouth. Zexu's body is still in the dormitory of Tianqi Academy. His inexplicable laughter made the 3 roommates feel a bit abnormal. Tang San withdrew his hand, turned his back to Song Jin, and said calmly, I am not unable to follow the 5 rules you mentioned earlier. But it is only out of respect for my roommate, not because I am afraid of you. Although you are a complete genius, there are no talented people in this academy. I defeated you at the level of the 2nd ring, which itself can explain the problem. Think about it carefully. I should go back to practice. Song Jin's eyes became confused. He stood still, unable to let go for a long time. Why? Why was Tang San able to easily surpass him and defeat him? When Song Jin returned to the dormitory with heavy steps, he saw Tang San already sitting on his wooden bed, meditating. He wanted to say something to him, but in the end, he held back. After snorting in anger, he had no choice but to make his own bed first. Of course, Song and Jin also had the habit of practicing bedtime meditation. He quickly took off his shoes, bounced his long legs, and sat on the bed, beginning to meditate. Unexpectedly, just as he closed his eyes, Song Jin's martial soul Zhu Jinchao automatically separated. The next second, Tang San on the other side of the dormitory's bed also experienced a separation of martial souls. The low-key and luxurious blue-silver grass and the high-end and grand vermilion grass were intertwined in an instant, and could no longer be separated. They transformed into an energy sphere that blended red, blue, gold, silver, and 4 colors, continuously guiding the soul power inside Tang San and Song Jin's bodies. Under the traction of this energy, Tang San and Song Jin both involuntarily got down and walked towards each other. It's as if there's some will controlling it in the dark. The closer you get to your body, the stronger the 4 colors of red, blue, gold, silver, and gold. Getting closer will make it even stronger. Both of them were shocked. How could they still be like this between them? Zexu thought to himself, you guessed it right. Tang San and Song Jin are simply a replica of those 2 who have 4 martial soul fusion skills hanging on the wall. But in that case, what should Xiaowu do? Everything is unknown. Zexu is tired from watching, and he doesn't need to watch anymore. Just guessing can tell what will happen to Tang San and Song Jin next. Don't think it's crooked. Didn't you just discover the 3 golden forces? Those who want to crook will face the wall on their own. He promptly withdrew from the state of guarding the heart and deer spirit, and went out for a walk. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Super Douluo strongly joins. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Super Douluo strongly joins. The night in the suburbs is quiet. The evening breeze gently shakes the green trees. Zexu quietly slipped out of the dormitory, relying on his decent spiritual strength to touch the outside of the school gate and wander in the mountains and forests. For him, this is the real time to relax. Just at some point, he suddenly felt a strong aura. The master of that aura has extraordinary strength, which he cannot see through. So Zexu quietly sneaked back into the college and used the guardian deer spirit to come and observe. This time, he is not afraid of being caught too close. Because the spirit energy body of the guardian deer has no soul power fluctuations and is not transformed by spiritual power, but rather an extremely special energy. If it were not for gods or people who specifically restrain this kind of martial soul, it would be impossible to notice any abnormality. I looked closer and realized that there was a man and a woman talking. That woman, isn't she Xia Ku, the dean of the Apocalypse Academy? And the man next to him should be the master of that terrifying aura. Humph, you don't have to say it anymore. You've already deceived me once. And it made me wait for 8 years. Dean Xia Ku exclaimed with a mournful tone, then turned around and made a gesture of wanting to leave. The tall man quickly stepped forward and grabbed her shoulder, trembling like a tree. Ku. Meet Dean Xia Ku turned around in frustration and simultaneously pulled the other person's hand off her shoulder. What are you? Don't call me by my name anymore. Ku, forgive me. The tall man knelt down with a loud roar. Xia Ku's eyes immediately focused, and the tears of displeasure couldn't be stopped. Upon seeing this, the tall man trembled and continued, Ku, let me finish. From the moment I became an orphan, my life had only one goal left, which was revenge. As a teenager, I was extremely impulsive and had been wandering the entire South Douluo Continent for many years, causing trouble for myself. I made enemies everywhere, almost forced to a dead end, and even revenge became a luxury. But when I met you, it was your love that helped me mature. Since then, my life has changed from a one-way street to a colorful and prosperous road. I shouldn't have lied to anyone, but that time 8 years ago was different. I can only pretend to be dead, otherwise I won't be able to escape their sight. I know you suffer in your heart, but haven't I returned? Ku. Now that my great revenge has been avenged, for the rest of my life, it all belongs to you. Dean Xia Ku had just used her soul power to dry her tears, but couldn't stop shedding a second wave. The two looked at each other for a long time, and neither of them wanted to break this subtle feeling first. As a result, Xia Ku threw herself into the embrace of the tall man. Then there was a long silence. Donga, I heard you are now a level 96 Super Douluo. Xia Ku asked with tears in her eyes after the hug ended. Of course, the tall man answered gently. Title. Tianhua. This is the title I took myself. He released 2 martial souls simultaneously and showed them to Xia Ku. The first martial soul, the pupil of the sky, yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black, 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 red, red. Second martial soul, burning flame of the world, black, 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 red, 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 orange gold, orange gold, orange gold. How could Xia Ku not be excited when she saw that her elder brother was already so powerful? Tianhua Douluo, what a Tianhua Douluo. Donggu, you are really the pride of the teacher. If the teacher knows something from the spring, he must be able to close his eyes, right? Tianhua Douluo Huangdong's eye circles have become even more rosy. The 9 transformations entropy school has been destroyed, so of course, the teacher can rest in peace. What? You also destroyed the 9 transformations entropy sect. Did you do it alone? Xia Ku felt very incredulous. Of course, I'm not the only one. I was dealing with the elder of the 9 transformation entropy energy sect alone at that time, and the others were naturally dealt with by Sun Feng and his team. Xia Ku seems to have been stimulated again. What do you mean? Not bad, Sun Feng and his team didn't die back then. Besides, I have some good news to tell you. I brought everyone here. Huang Dongkai smiled handsome. At the same time, Handsome and beautiful figures shuttle back and forth, arranged one after another behind Huang Dong. They were also activating their martial souls, as if they were about to show off to Xia Ku. After seeing these 7 people side by side, Xia Ku's tears welled up once again. Sun Feng, male, 33 years old, is a martial-souled thunderous giant beast with a soul power level of 82. Yellow yellow purple purple black 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 red. Xian Zan, male, 34 years old, spear of martial soul courage, soul power level 81. Yellow yellow purple purple black 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 red. Su Jishio, female, 29 years old, is a martial soul medical gem with a soul power level of 76. Yellow yellow purple purple black black black. Yaya, female, 32 years old, martial soul shining holy sword, soul power level 79. Yellow yellow purple purple black black black. Li Min, female, 32 years old, martial soul secret magic wand, soul power level 88. Yellow yellow purple purple black 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 red. Zudi, male, 35 years old, martial soul big cat eye stone, soul power level 77. Yellow yellow purple purple black black black. Okay, you guys. You guys haven't died yet, they're all so strong now. I've been deceived so hard by you. Xia Ku excitedly stepped forward and hugged each of them. Years ago, it was the 9 of them who ventured into the world together. South Douluo Continent, North Douluo Continent, Primordial Heavenly Kingdom Island, and Ancient God Island all leave their footprints. Just after the First World War of the Eclipse Fortress, they were considered dead by the outside world, so they followed the trend, hid their identities, and dispersed their development. Not long ago, they gathered together again and worked together to eliminate the 9 Transformations Entropy sect, achieving a legend. What is more exciting than reuniting with old friends? We, the 9 heroes of the apocalypse, have reunited again. We must celebrate well. Sun Feng shouted. Su Jishio continued, it's not urgent. The days ahead will be long. We had already agreed to help Sister Ko run this college well. We're not planning to leave now that we're here. Watching such a scene, even Zexu couldn't help but immerse himself in this lively atmosphere. It turns out that the Dean's story is so exciting. Due to significant emotional fluctuations, the spirit state of the guardian deer automatically disengages. Zexu reluctantly returned to the dormitory, ready to sleep. Midnight, the girls' dormitory at Tianqi College. I saw 2 shimmering lights of the ultimate beauty flash by, and a figure quietly climbed up from the bed. This is exactly Anjuan. She quietly put on her clothes and slipped out of the dormitory in college like a shadow, without realizing it. Her second martial soul arcane spirit bead currently only has a yellow first soul ring. But the skill of this first soul ring can be said to be extraordinary. That's right, this soul skill is called arcane simulation. Anjuan used arcane simulations to quietly change her appearance and body shape, making herself look no different from an adult woman. At the same time, she also simulated a suitable black cloak and wrapped it around her body. Where is she going? Of course it's Soto City. Every month today is the time for her to trade with the material manager of the Martial Soul Hall. He shouldn't be able to wait anymore, right? Anjuan thought to herself and quickly ran towards the city of Soto, shrouded in darkness. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Entering the Excellent Training Class. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Entering the Excellent Training Class. Soto City Martial Soul Main Hall. Madam, although I don't understand why this transaction is taking place in Soto City, I still have to thank you. You are my reliance for promotion and wealth, said the middle-aged man across from me, who looked ordinary, slightly bald, and obese. As a high-ranking official in the logistics system of the Martial Soul Hall, this man's physique does indeed match his official position. Anjuan simply responded calmly, there's nothing to thank you for. It's just business. If it weren't for your higher bid than the Seven Treasures Glass sect, I wouldn't have chosen you every time. That's for sure. Our martial soul hall is rich and powerful, how can it be compared to his Seven Treasures Glass sect? Also, the current pope has already known about your existence. She said she wants to see you in person. No need. It's good now. After Anjuan said these words, she didn't say a word anymore, but took out a large wooden box from her soul guide, 36 holes of shikahai. After she opened the wooden box herself, as usual, she asked the other party to check everything first, confirm that there were no problems, and then deliver. The condition is good, exclaimed the official of the Martial Soul Hall. The results of this batch will definitely be outstanding compared to the previous ones. I have to say, this flattery is good. But for Anjuan, it's just a bunch of nonsense. A whole box of secret medicine, 30 pieces, totaling 300,000 gold soul coins. Each coin is equivalent to 10,000 gold soul coins. That's right, it's just so expensive. After receiving the hard card containing 300,000 gold soul coins, Anjuan turned around and left. She needs to hurry back to the college. If the teacher checks the bed halfway through the night and she's not there, then it's troublesome. What exactly is this secret medicine? Okay, the name of the secret medicine is Endless Potential Blending Agent, and its function is to enhance innate soul power. If the innate soul power is level 1 to 3, taking this secret medicine will increase the innate soul power by 2 levels. If the innate soul power is level 4 to 7, taking this secret medicine will increase the innate soul power by 1 level. This secret medicine is ineffective for soul masters with innate soul power level 8 and above. People who have sufficient knowledge of the soul master profession understand what it means. Why did the Martial Soul Hall spend a high price on this medicine? Of course, it is used to recruit talents. Any commoner soul master who is willing to join the Martial Soul Hall, as long as the martial soul is not too bad, will receive this secret medicine for free. However, the amount that can be sent out from the Martial Soul Hall depends on the output of Anjuan. Currently, in addition to practicing, Anjuan only produces 30 pieces per month, all of which are sold to the Martial Soul Hall. But this still seems insufficient. The Martial Soul Hall has repeatedly tentatively asked Anjuan if it is possible to increase production. And Anjuan's answer is always no. In the morning, the sunshine is bright and the breeze is gentle. The endless pine waves form the tone of the entire outskirts of Soto City. Tianqi College has officially opened today. More than 200 newly recruited freshmen were divided into 5 parallel classes, with an average of 40 students per class. But a few special students were excluded. That's right, the dean personally called them to an empty classroom and waited for instructions. After Dean Xia Ke left, the classroom became active. Xia Ke waited outside the classroom for the arrival of that person repeatedly, while smiling and flipping through the information of these talented students that she had listed separately. James. Golden Lion, strong attack type, 15 years old, level 36. Hey D. Bough of Flowers, mixed series, 14 years old, level 34. Lonely, Baoguan Buck, auxiliary line, 14 years old, level 32. Elsa. Bingyuan Benlang, strong attack type, 12 years old, level 31. Zexu. Simulated Mantu, mixed series, 12 years old, grade 25. Xiaowen. Exile Blade, mixed type, 12 years old, level 26. Anduyan. Red Lotus Eye, mixed type, 12 years old, grade 25. Zhuqing. Netherworld Spirit Cat, sensitive attack type, 11 years old, level 27. Tian Xiaoyan. Radiant Wand, mixed series, 11 years old, level 24. Alas, these children are all the main force to be pulled into the competition in 2 years. We must come up with a perfect plan to cultivate them. About half an hour later, Xia Ke finally waited for the person. Xia Lan, her cousin. Lan, why did you come? Xiao frowned and said strangely. Sorry, sister, there was a delay on the way. Xiao Lan playfully stuck out her tongue. The next second, she leaned forward to look at the information in Xiao's hand. Sister, are the two students I recommended to you pretty good? Well, I really like Zexu and Duyan, these two little guys, Xiao smiled. You haven't wasted your 6 years at Notting College. These talented students are not something you can easily come across. Xiaolan snatched all the information from her sister's hands and said, so you just casually formed a whole hero class. You slow down, don't tear it apart. Xiao was a bit angry. My lovely cousin was particularly mischievous when she was a child, and now she has been a teacher for several years, just like a child. This is a genius student whom I have accumulated for 3 whole years, and it's worth only 9. Of course, this year alone, more than half of them are newly enrolled. Xiaolan glanced at the information and took note of everything. This special ability was present when she was young and had not yet awakened her martial soul, so her theory of martial soul is very solid. The theoretical research on the South Douluo Continent is not comparable to that of the North Douluo Continent. The vast collection of ancient texts hidden at the top of the heavenly peak on the continent of Nandoluo is the best proof. Think about it, in the Douluo Continent, there are only 2 empires, Tiando and Xingluo, and at most, a third party force, the Martial Soul Hall, in order to find how many experts can study martial soul theory. The so called Master Yu Xiaojiang was praised as invincible in theory, just because he proposed the so called 10 core competitions of martial souls, which is enough to illustrate how backward the theoretical and academic aspects of the Douluo Continent are. What's even more ironic is that there are several inaccuracies or even fundamental inaccuracies in these 10 core competencies. After all, the proposer, the Master Yu Xiaojiang himself, is the 29th level Great Soul Master. The martial soul is an abandoned martial soul that has undergone negative mutations. During her time working with Yu Xiaojiang at Notting College, Xiaolan went to communicate with him multiple times to correct his mistakes. Yu Xiaojiang humbly accepted it and developed a strong interest in the martial soul theory classics from the southern Douluo Continent. So, what Tang San learned from the masters at Notting College before was already the revised theory of the top 10 core competencies. As for Zexu and Duyan, they were originally under the guidance of Xiaolan and were exposed to the latest theoretical knowledge from the southern Douluo Continent. What journals, academic newspapers, and some experimental reports are beneficial to Zexu, Xiaolan will find ways to obtain them through various channels. Yu Xiaojiang dotes on Tang San the most, and Xiaolan is not like that. Compared to the dull Tang San, Zexu, this little pistachio, is more appealing to young female teachers. Moreover, Zexu's appearance is much more handsome than Tang San before awakening the bloodline of the Blue Silver Emperor. Xiaolan's kindness to Zexu must be due to these reasons. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. The 9 Heroes of the Apocalypse. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. The 9 Heroes of the Apocalypse. Alright, let's go in. The young heroes have been waiting for too long, Xiao smiled. Lan, come with me. So the sisters walked into the classroom in 2 completely different ways. Zexu was meditating when suddenly he smelled a particularly familiar fragrance. He suddenly opened his eyes and saw Xiaolan entering the room. It's teacher Xiaolan, he exclaimed excitedly, while also reminding Anjuan beside him. Xiaolan immediately turned her gaze to their position and playfully blinked at Zexu. After the dean stood firm, he said straightforwardly, "Students, I believe you have also guessed why you were singled out to establish a class. Have you ever heard of the name Tianqi Jiuingjia? It is obvious that Zexu, and Duyan, and Zhuqing from the Douluo Continent have little knowledge about the 9 heroes of the apocalypse. The other 6 students from the continent of Nandoluo have never heard of the name of the 9 heroes of the apocalypse. Elsa sitting in the back row clearly admires the 9 heroes of the apocalypse, and her gaze can indicate the problem. Just for some reason, she doesn't want to be the first to speak. Instead, a girl named Tian Xiaoyan exclaimed excitedly. "Teacher, I know." "Well, you say it." Xia Ke narrowed her eyes and smiled, wanting to hear the little girl's understanding of the 9 heroes of the apocalypse. Who knows, what Tian Xiaoyan said mostly came from external rumors, and as most people believe, the other 8 of the 9 heroes of the apocalypse, except for Din Xiaoke, had already been completely annihilated in the solar eclipse fortress on the outskirts of the southern Douluo Continent 8 years ago. But the fact is not so. Xiaoke talked at length about this matter and said a lot of things that she had been holding in her heart for a long time. At the end, she excitedly announced to them, "The 9 heroes of the apocalypse have returned. They are not dead, and have recently killed the head of the picture shadow and eliminated the 9 transformations entropy school. The news should soon spread to the continent of Douluo. More importantly, all the 9 heroes of the apocalypse will become teachers of our Apocalypse Academy. And you will be the next generation of the 9 heroes of the apocalypse." If the news that the 9 heroes of the apocalypse have not died is already shocking enough, then it is even more exciting that the 9 of them will become the new generation of the 9 heroes of the apocalypse. However, Zexu, and Duyan, and Zhuqing are better off. As people from the Douluo Continent, they do not know what the 9 heroes of the apocalypse mean. In short, the whole class is boiling. After chatting a lot more, Xiaoke finally mentioned the cousin standing next to her. "Young heroes, next, let me introduce you to your future theoretical class teacher. This is my cousin, Xia Lan. Welcome Teacher Xia." After finishing, Xiaoke took the lead in applauding. The dean is like this, the students have to give face no matter what they say, right? Among the 9 students, the ones who applauded the loudest were Zexu and Anjuan. For them, Teacher Xiaolan is not a new face, but a mentor who has been with them day and night for 6 years. Xiaolan bowed and nodded to the 9 students one by one. Her face was filled with a youthful smile, with a beautiful and youthful appearance, making her look very youthful. "Since you all want to learn from me in the future, let me talk about my rules. In my class, there are only 3 rules. Firstly, do not call me a teacher. On the contrary, you should call me Lan Jie. After all, I am only 27 years old and not that old. Secondly, I am a 6-ring Soul Emperor in the control department. Don't keep thinking about sparring with me if you have nothing to do. You can't beat me. Thirdly, no matter what chaotic martial soul theories you have learned before, forget them all to me. My theoretical teaching is self-contained. If you want to learn from me, just learn from me, don't be careless." What a sharp teacher. This is the unanimous feeling of the 9 young heroes. Even Zexu and Nduyan, who had been under Xiao Lan's guidance for many years, were the first to hear Xiao Lan speak like this. That's all for Xiao Lan's speech. She is deliberately shaping her character as someone who doesn't speak too much. But in reality, it's impossible for a playful older sister like her to handle this persona. The collapse of character design is just a matter of time. After introducing the theoretical course teacher, Dean Xiaoke said, "However, your hero class is not open yet. These days, all you need to do is go back to the academy every night to meditate and practice. You can go to Soto City during the day to play. However, it's best to have a game every day at the Soto City Soul Fighting Field. Win or lose doesn't matter. Why haven't we been attending classes these days? You'll know then. If we have to reveal something to you, then the hospital will bring back a few new students for you. Now, after class, we can disband." Upon hearing this edict-like instruction, several young heroes rushed out like flying. 1 minute later, there were only James, Zexu, and Anjuan left in the room. Zexu. James turned his head to look at the 2 people sitting in the back row. "Do you know what the dean means?" Zexu certainly doesn't understand. But after James asked this question, he immediately began to think. Now, James had a rather unpleasant expression on his face. In my opinion, the dean is ready to take action against Shrek College. After enduring it for 5 years, is she finally ready to annex Shrek? Due to the overwhelming weight of the news, it directly interrupted Zexu's thinking. What are you talking about? The dean wants to annex Shrek College. How could this be possible? I heard Dean Flanders regards the name Shrek as his lifeline. Whoever is against Shrek is in a hurry with him. James stared at Zexu with a silly gaze. After a while, he said, Didn't you hear what the dean just said? The 9 heroes of the apocalypse have returned and become teachers in our college. Do you know how powerful the 9 heroes of the apocalypse are? Of course Zexu knows, because he saw it with his own eyes last night. Tianhua Douluo Huangdong, at the age of only 33, has become a level 96 Super Douluo and a twin martial soul. His second martial soul is also 3 black, 3 red, and 3 orange gold, which is simply the treatment that the protagonist only has. There are also 7 other people, either Soul Douluo or Soul Saint. And the 8th soul ring of each contra is red. Who believes that this is not the main character group? If Dean Xiaoko is preparing to forcibly annex Shrek Academy, then Frand will be completely powerless to resist. Even if Tang Hao comes, it won't work. Forced annexation, isn't the dean doing this too unethical? Zexu continued to ask. James just squeezed out a little smile. Little brother, you're new here and don't know much about our dean. When dealing with people, she always treats them with courtesy first, followed by force, and both soft and hard. At least she's one of the 9 heroes of the apocalypse that shocked the southern Douluo Continent back then. How can she do without some skills? What's the strategy of etiquette before military strategy? Rights, including but not limited to treating meals. As for soldiers, well, you should understand. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Follow the little rich lady to go shopping. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Follow the little rich lady to go shopping, but I still think it's impossible. Frand would rather die than give Shrek Academy away, Zexu insisted. James suddenly felt a little disdainful. Hey, I said Zexu, who are you standing on? Our Apocalypse Academy has annexed Shrek, isn't it good? This is not a question of which side I stand on, but a fact. Frand wouldn't just give up his years of hard work like this. Bet, do you dare? James snorted disdainfully. My father said that children of good families cannot gamble. As the son of the Duke of Jinyan City, how can I get into this bad habit of gambling? I'm sorry, young master. I can only assume that you're not sure. Anyway, let's wait and see if the dean can annex Shrek College. After speaking, Zexu turned his head and left. Anjuan gave James a meaningful glance and followed Zexu away. In the evening, Zexu and Anjuan came out of the Soto City Soul fighting arena and prepared to return directly to the academy. At this moment, Anjuan suddenly proposed to take Zexu shopping. This Soto City is at least a big city, much larger than Notting City. There should be many good goods. Ozawa, this time I have to dress you up like an ordinary girl can't afford it. It saves you from being constantly remembered by girls, Anjuan laughed. Coming again. Zexu was confused when he heard Anduin speak like this. Anjuan is shopping, which time can't I stay up until late at night? In third-tier cities like Notting City, this is the case. In Soto City, a strong second-tier city, I'm afraid we have to spend an all-night strolling, right? It's not that Zexu doesn't want to accompany her shopping, it's just that the college has a curfew. I went back too late. What should I do if I found out during my sleep check? But there's no other way, he's used to spending time with Anjuan like this. No matter what she wants, he will accompany her. I will go to the dean the next morning to admit my mistake. Then firmly refuse to make any changes. Look, there's a jewelry store over there. Anjuan shouted, pointing to a tall building across the street. She exerted all her strength in her left hand and pulled Zexu up to run. Zexu simply closed his eyes and didn't even look at the road, completely handing himself over to her. The two of them finally stopped in front of the jewelry store door, calming their breath. After gasping for breath, Zexu opened his eyes wide and saw someone parked on the road behind him glaring at him. Obviously, that person almost bumped into them. "Ansha, please slow down. A big city is a big city, and there are such high-end places," said Anjuan excitedly. Zexu looked up and examined the entire jewelry store inside and outside, agreeing with this statement. Anjuan didn't stay long, so she continued to pull Zexu straight up to the third floor. Why? Because the good goods are all on the third floor. The first floor is a cheap product, the second floor is a famous brand, and although the third floor is not a famous brand, it is definitely a high-end product. Cheap goods are used by poor people to barely maintain face, while luxury brands are used by nouveau riche to show off. The high-end goods on the third floor are the true choice of noble individuals. The so-called high-end goods do not need to be accompanied by any famous brands, and their quality is enough to amaze anyone who truly understands the goods. Now, Zexu instantly understood what it meant. In his previous life on Earth, Zexu made his first bucket of gold by trading stocks in his junior year. He bought his sister a finely crafted silver necklace that he knew was his own. His statement at the time was, "Make your younger sister look like a typical boy who can't stand it up, and let the fake Phoenix man know the difficulty and retreat." After all, that is Zexu's biological sister, so we cannot let her be indecent and delay her life. This concept coincides with what Anjuan said before. Yes, due to Zexu's excellence in all aspects, she has only been in the college for a day and has been remembered by many female classmates. However, most of those female classmates are ordinary soul masters, so this method is the most suitable. After some selection, Anjuan's sharp eyes indeed selected a suitable silver necklace for Zexu. Coincidentally, this silver necklace is exactly the same as the one Zexu bought for his sister in the past. Standing still for a long time. "Miss, this is our high-end floor. May I ask if you need a salesperson?" said the female salesperson respectfully by the door. "No need. Let me see for myself." The girl's voice was soft and beautiful, lacking a bit of heroism, but it sounded soft and soft, giving off a feeling of softness. Perhaps this is what we call hearing someone's voice before seeing them. The playful and lovely girl walked briskly to Zexu's side, glanced at the necklace in his hand, and then turned to the jade jewelry counter in the distance. It is obvious that this girl prefers jade jewelry over silver jewelry. Zexu was originally standing still because of the necklace, but now he suddenly seemed to realize something terrible and turned to look at the girl who had passed by. This girl was not accompanied by her parents, she was just alone. Which indicates that she is a soul master. Most girls dare not go shopping alone. Her white long dress gives a very clean feeling. With neat short hair, she is about half the height of Anjuan. Although I couldn't see her appearance, I could tell from her neck that her skin was incredibly fair and tender, as if she could squeeze out water with just a pinch. But soon, Zexu realized who this was. Such attire, such delicate voice, such behavior, is a soul master who loves jade artifacts. All these characteristics combined, who else can there be? Of course it's Ning Rongrong. According to the original plot, this should be the time when Ning Rongrong skipped class and went shopping. And then when he went back, he would argue with Fran. Of course, he knows Ning Rongrong, but Ning Rongrong doesn't know him. After all, Zexu couldn't resist saying hello and continued to accompany Anjuan to look at the jewelry. After all, Ning Rongrong still has significant flaws in his personality. If you recklessly intersect with her, you may provoke some kind of trouble. Besides, he's also afraid that his roommate will become jealous because of this. 1 hour later, Shrek College. Tang San and Song Jin ran side by side to Fran's office. They have exciting good news to tell Fran. Their martial soul fusion technique experiment has been successful. That's right, it's the martial soul fusion technique of Zhu Jinchao and Lan Yinchao. A golden and silver pair of grass grows, and the vermilion blue changes and returns in the wind. The golden and silver myriad forms are cut. This is the name they temporarily gave to this powerful martial soul fusion technique that is extremely expensive and almost drained of their soul power after just one experiment. Unfortunately, Fran is not in his office. On the contrary, he was reprimanding Ning Rongrong, who had just skipped class and returned. Ning Rongrong frowned, and the gentle expression on his face gradually disappeared. The corners of his mouth were slightly upturned, showing a hint of contempt and disdain. This is not a battlefield, it's just an academy. Fran nodded and said, not bad, this is indeed just a college. But this is my Shrek college. Now, I'll give you two options. One is to pack your things and leave here immediately. You don't deserve to be a part of this place. The other is to prove to me that you have the right to stay here and the determination not to offend again in the future. Ning Rongrong smiled. She is 12 years old and has a cute and beautiful smile. But that harmless smile from humans and animals is truly heart-stopping. End of this chapter.